want to see if I can paint a picture of Adam. Now, I wasn't lucky enough to ever know Adam, but I know probably at least half the people here have and did. So what I see is a young, strong, tall, good-looking guy. A guy who had a smile that lit up the room. Maybe a mischievous twinkle in his eye. I've heard he liked jokes. And he liked to make people smile and laugh and giggle and grin. Now, the Adam I have heard so much about was active. He was active at school. He was part of the drama team, and he loved nothing more than to get up and ham it up on stage. And sometimes he would practice those parts on anybody who was around to hear him. Adam was active with his friends. He didn't know strangers, from what I understand. He was loved and loved many. And Adam was active in this church. Not only did he attend, but he served as a junior deacon. He participated fully with the youth groups. He led and he followed. And because Adam had a servant's heart, this church and the crossing, the children's youth camp, and all the people who knew him, their hearts became a little fuller. Adam was 19 when he got his diagnosis. He had just started feeling a little off. And so they went to the doctor. And this big, tall, strapping young man was found to have cancer. 26 days later, Adam was gone. There's no time there to say goodbye. There's not enough time there to prepare yourself. But even in the hospital, even with doctors and needles and chemo and treatments, Adam's servant heart kept on. I have heard stories about him laughing with other kids. And during all this, Adam had a small stuffed frog given to him by someone, and he took it with him everywhere. And I'm imagining that that frog heard lots of worries, that that frog absorbed lots of tears. That frog got held tight. And then that frog was given to someone else. And that is how Adam's animals began. A year after his death, his parents went to the hospital wanting to tell the nurses and doctors and orderlies and everybody who had played a part in Adam's life in those last 26 days, tell them how much they appreciated the hard work they had done. And they brought that frog. Then they started thinking, let's see if we can get a few more stuffed animals. Maybe we can gather 60, 70. And so they asked their church, this church, do you think you can help us provide a few stuffed animals to give to some of these sick kids? And if I have my numbers correctly, that first year, almost 1,000, over 1,000 were collected. And Adam's animals began. Since that time, there have been enough stuffed animals, new, because we certainly don't want to endanger these children that have no immune systems left. There have been enough stuffed animals donated to date to fill American Airlines Center, every seat. And that was a couple of years ago that we come up with that number. One thing that I find a little sad is no matter how many animals are collected, and usually there are about 5,400 every single year that are taken to hospitals. Unfortunately, there are always more sick kids, hurt children, scared children, than there are animals donated. We collect new animals because of the immune systems. And I've been blessed twice now to go and help deliver those animals. And I got to tell you, the nurses come down with cribs and racks and everything, and huge vans are unloaded, packed to the gills with bags of stuffed animals. And these nurses who have to deal with sick children every day, and there cannot be a harder thing to deal with than that, are giggling and grinning, and you can see and touch one, go, "Oh, it's so soft," just like the children that they get to. And then upstairs, along with more than a few dozen balloons, these animals are given out to every child that's there, regardless of age, regardless of religion, regardless of ethnicity, regardless of whether they have a broken leg, a broken arm, a broken head, or something internally wrong. Each child is given that. And one of the things that really got me is that I could see, as the knock came on each door, the parents tightening up. Because every time somebody knocks on that door, it could very well be someone who's going to come with a needle, or bad news, or a test that has to be taken, or more medicine that their child doesn't want. And then they see this teddy bear or this stuffed dog, and it is not just the child who grins. It is the parents, and you can see, you can feel the energy from them go up. And they are having as much fun as their child. I have seen 16-year-old football player boys with a broken leg who, when they got a huge stuffed teddy bear, grinned just as much as the 2-year-old who got a shiny balloon in an animal. And I'm not 100% sure that the balloons were just as much fun for those little ones. What I didn't see any of the times we went was nurses frowning about this, or doctors mumbling and grumbling. People enjoy this day. And why not? On the day that the animals are taken, smiles abound. Giggles happen. Love happens. And for Jeff and Gina Hurst, in those moments and in that time, as they remember their son, they can do it with a smile and a grin and a giggle, and know that that wonderful servant's heart is still there. Now, last year, I wrote a story about Adam, and I'm going to read it to you. It is written as if Adam was a little boy. Once upon a time, oh, not so long ago, there lived a boy named Adam. Adam was wonderfully wonderful, as all young children are. He was strong and brave, ready to laugh and to love. He loved to play sweet jokes on people and have them laugh. Adam loved hugs in school and his church, and most of all, Adam loved his family. Adam was very much wonderfully wonderful. Then one day, Adam started feeling bad. He went and told his mom and dad, and they took him to the doctor, because that's what you do when wonderfully wonderful boys and girls don't feel good. Well, as you can imagine, Adam got poked. He got prodded. There were needles which he did not like, and had pictures taken of his insides and his outsides. And yes, Adam was sick. Adam had a really bad illness called cancer, and it was scary. That night, Adam sat with his mom and his dad, and they talked. They cried, and I am sure they even got angry. All of those emotions are absolutely okay to have when a wonderfully wonderful child gets sick. Adam had to go into the hospital to try and get better. Now, a hospital can be a very scary place, even for a brave and strong kid. Nothing smells the same as at home. Nothing looks the same. And there are doctors and nurses and people moving your bed around, and you never know just what will happen next. You do usually get to have lots of pudding and jello, though. A friend of Adam's gave him a stuffed frog to have with him in this strange place. Adam took that frog with him everywhere. When the doctors came into the room, he held onto that stuffed frog, and he wasn't quite as scared. And when he was sad, he held that frog to his face and let it get full of his tears. No stuffed animal had as important a job as that little stuffed frog had. It was a wonderfully wonderful frog indeed. The day came, and it came way too fast that Adam started to get worse. He sort of began to fade. Day after day, there was a little bit less of Adam until the day came that all that was left of that wonderfully wonderful boy was a lot of good memories and a little stuffed frog. His mom and dad cried, his brother cried, and so did all the people who had been blessed to know him. It is okay to cry when someone you love goes away. The next year, Adam's wonderfully wonderful parents went to visit the hospital where Adam had been. They wanted to tell the nurses and doctors how grateful they were that Adam had been taken care of by such wonderfully wonderful people. They also took a new stuffed animal. It turns out that there was a girl that Adam had been friends with who was in the hospital that day. They gave the animal to her. She hugged it and said it was Adam's animal. And that, my friend, was the start of something wonderfully wonderful. The next year, Adam's mom and dad decided they wanted to take 100 new animals to the hospital. So they asked their friends, their family, their church, and other places that had known Adam to help. And oh my goodness, they ended up with over 1,000 new animals. That is wonderfully wonderful indeed. Each year, Adam's mom and dad asked people to donate a new stuffed animal so that all the wonderfully wonderful kids in the hospital can have a friend to hug, to play with, and to cry with. Can you believe that in 20 years they have given almost 95,000 animals to kids? My goodness. Every child that comes to that hospital gets a new friend. From the great big older boy that grumbles and rumbles because he broke his leg, to the smallest kid who, like Adam, has cancer, and everything in between, they get a new animal. And they grin, and they giggle, and some cry, and some want to play with the balloon more than the teddy bear, but they all love their animal. All of this because a wonderfully wonderful young boy named Adam lived and brought joy. Adam lives on through that wonderfully wonderful heart that continues to beat strong with every new stuffed animal given. Let's make this year the year that there's always enough animals. It has gotten harder to find stuffed animals. You don't see them at Walmart and Target as much as you used to, but they are available. You can find them. And we place no limit on how many animals you can bring. You want to bring one, bring one. You want to order boxes and crates and buckets and barrels of animals, go right ahead. There will be a child for that animal. Thank you.